YouTube, what is going on? Welcome back to another Identity V video. I know this one's been requested quite a lot over the last week, so I finally got it finished. This took me quite a while to do because there are a lot of survivors currently in the game. This is the Season 16 Survivor tier list. I apologize for uploading it 2 days late, but it's a long video, and you know, I got work and sleep and more sleep and like some mild, sometimes exercising. Actually, I've been exercising a lot more because I'm trying to, you know, get in good shape for when school comes around in the fall. But anyways, getting back into the video, enough about me, nobody cares. We have 6 tiers today, so it's going to be D tier, C tier, B tier, A-, A, and S tier. These are the worst to best characters currently in the Identity V game. Mostly judged off of tournament gameplay. You can, you know, I'll talk a little bit about rank, but this is mostly for tournament experience because that's what a lot of people are very interested in. It's also for rank as well. For the most part, I'll talk about rank as well if you guys are, for those of you casual rank players, we'll get into that. But yeah, moving into the tier list, without a further ado, let's get into it. I don't want to keep you guys here forever because I usually end up doing that, and I'm sorry for that, but let's get into it. So, the first tier is D tier, and the first survivor in D tier, the worst survivor in the game, is Thief. Now, I know I'm going to get like a million comments in, you know, from you guys saying, Thief is not that bad if you know what you're doing. Well, maybe he's not that bad if you know what you're doing, but in reality, he's actually countered. A lot of top hunters can counter him. There's a lot of abilities to actually counter Thief. Most of them is around this thing called moonwalking. So moonwalking is where you use an ability to look away from the survivor. For example, holding a geisha butterfly to look away, holding a feast or tentacle to look away, holding a violinist note, holding down teleport to look away, and you can prevent any hunter with an ability like a dragging ability that drag stuff. You can use that to turn away from the Thief's flashlight. A lot of you, some of you guys may not know that, but that is actually how a lot of top hunters deal with Thief. And that is actually why you never, ever will see Thief in top gameplay. There is not a single Thief, right now, on mobile at least, that are in the top tiers, I guarantee you. Not a single Thief main. And Thief is just unviable, unfortunately, for that reason. Yeah, and that's pretty much why Thief is just D tier. All he has really is his flashlight to work with. And it just makes it so, and it's very easily countered. So that is why Thief is D tier. Not much to say about that. The next survivor in D tier, and the second worst survivor in the game, this is pretty obvious, this is Lucky Guy. Now, Lucky Guy could actually be a good survivor if he was guaranteed an item. When you search through a chest, you wish for a flare gun. For example, if they buffed Lucky Guy where it's like, oh, okay, well, the first item I wish for is guaranteed, then, okay, that might actually not be bad. That could be workable, right? Maybe he wouldn't be a bad character. But I played Lucky Guy in a quick match. I wished for a flare gun 3 times, and I got 2 perfumes and a syringe. So it is just not, or maybe it's 2 syringes and 2 perfumes. Well, yeah, you get 2 perfumes for 1 and then 2 syringes. Lucky Guy is just inconsistent, luck-based. Very luck-based character and unreliable. So, I mean, and other than that, he has absolutely 0 abilities. Veteran's bonus is nice, but you'd rather just play Lawyer at that point. I'm going to be honest with you guys. So, because of that, Lawyer. Lucky Guy is D tier. Again, the item's not guaranteed, which makes it very weak. And he's not viable in any sort of tournament gameplay, and not even in rank either, to be honest. So, he is a D tier character for that reason. That is it for D tier. We got to get through this pretty quickly. The next tier is C tier. And the first character in C tier is Postman. Now, I know a lot of you guys out there love Postman. I actually think Postman's a very fun character. Unfortunately, he's actually not the best. And the reason why is the letters that he sends out are very just inefficient. You can really just play, like, if you want to decode fast, just play Mechanic. Like there's just better characters than Postman, unfortunately. Now, while he can kite pretty well, he has the dog to slow down the hunter, which can be useful. But even something like an Acrobat slow bomb would just be more effective. And Acrobat's more versatile in that Acrobat can literally, you know, jump out off buildings and stuff, and the hunter can't get to you. I mean, there's just so many. Acrobat's just way more versatile. So Postman, okay, sure, you can slow down the hunter. The only Postman in top tiers right now, I believe, is Amazon Prime. There's no other top Postmans that I've ever. I don't think I've ever reached Titan that are top Postmans besides her. So there's just no. Again, Postman is just very unviable. The decoding letters don't really do a whole lot. It's better to just play characters that already have those buffs because they're more effective anyway. And the dog is just not as effective compared to plenty of other kiting strategies. Even something like Entomologist would be stronger. So because of that, Postman is C tier. He doesn't really have that much to work with kiting-wise. He's very vulnerable. Other than the dog, he's just very vulnerable, and his decoding support is just very inferior compared to something with better support, like, for example, Entomologist or Priestess or whatever, right? And that is why I posted him as a C tier character. The next character in C tier is Mind's Eye. Mind's Eye is the fastest decoder in the game, which actually seems very appealing, and it is. Mind's Eye, if you don't find the Mind's Eye first as a hunter, and you find somebody else, and you chase somebody else, if you kill that person instantly, you probably still tie the match, because of how fast the Mind's Eye decodes. But the problem is, if you find Mind's Eye, you will not kite very long. It does not matter. You could be the best kiter in the world. You will have a very short kite, because Mind's Eye is just a really, really bad kiting character. She throws pallets incredibly slow, 30% slower, vaults pallets incredibly slow, and she just has nothing to work. She has to rely on heartbeat. You don't know if the hunter's sneaking up on you unless you've had your, your cane tapped, or if you have heartbeat. If it's something like what if a Wuchang teleports on you? You're dead. A breaking wheel comes zooming out of nowhere. You don't get heartbeat till the last second. He's already on you. You have no reaction time. You're dead. So Mind's Eye is just, because she's blind, that can be a little bit of a problem. Also, her kiting potential is really bad. All hunters have to do to counter Mind's Eye is bring teleport and quenching effect. Without quenching effect, Mind's Eye might not be too bad. You can hide from the hunter. You can decode once he starts chasing somebody else. It's not a bad strategy. But with quenching effect, and you can see after 50 seconds if the hunter hasn't hit anyone or hasn't received any presence of any sort, you can see where the Mind's Eye is. If you have teleport on that hunter, which you probably will, most hunters will just play, a teleport quenching effect version of their hunter. They'll just teleport on the Mind's Eye, and the kite will be very, very short, and you will lose the game, for the most part. It would be very rare to tie. So that's the thing with Mind's Eye. She's very, very, okay, it's luck-based. If you don't find, and it's not even luck-based, because you can counter them with quenching effect and teleport, but if you don't find the Mind's Eye first, you will tie or win the match of survivors. If you find the Mind's Eye within 50 seconds of your quenching and teleport, you will probably lose the game. And that is why Mind's Eye is C tier. She just is so vulnerable. The most vulnerable character in the game. And not much to work with, unfortunately, besides her fast decoding. The next character in C tier is Lawyer. Now, Lawyer isn't, out of the veterans, Lawyer is pretty good. Lawyer has the ability, again, there's only one, a lot of these characters you'll see, guys, there's only one top player at most for these C tier characters. Rework Lawyer is the only top, his name is Rework Lawyer. It's pretty pretty fun name, but that is the only top Lawyer player on our server, so on NAEU. So Lawyer is very good, and the only reason why he makes Lawyer work is because he's a very good kiter. He kites well. He has very good kiting skills. If he played something like, I don't know, a good kiting character like Priestess, he'd probably be even better. But I mean, he plays Lawyer and he still destroys hunters, so I'm not complaining. But the problem with Lawyer is, okay, Lawyer's not bad in a 4-person VC, because you can see where the hunter is. You can tell your teammates, oh, it's a violinist. They spawned in hospital. They're going towards shack. And you can rotate. The survivors can leave that area. They can hide. They can get away from the hunter, and the hunter has a hard time actually finding survivors. However, this gets countered by quenching effect and teleport, as we said with the Mind's Eye. Additionally, Lawyer has some good things going for him. He cannot be terror shock. That's not bad. At all. You can be a rescue. You can get off pretty much any rescue as Lawyer. No problem. You bring Tide Turner. If you have, he gets a veterans bonus as well. So you can literally, if you had broken windows, actually think about it this way. If you have pallet boost, right, knee-jerk reflex, you vault a pallet, get hit vaulting the pallet, which normally would be a terror shock, but you don't because you're a Lawyer. You get veterans bonus plus the pallet boost. You're gone. You can just take off across the map, and the hunter has, you get a ton of distance. The hunter has a long time before they can catch up to you. And that's actually a pretty good ability for Lawyer. So Lawyer could actually be B tier played properly, but in rank at least, he's definitely C tier. In tournament, there's just better rotating characters. Seer and Mechanic are better decoders, better support characters, better for communication. So because of those things, Lawyer is a C tier character. And yeah. The next character in C tier is Gardener. Now, Gardener actually was B tier last season, where Bloody Queen was a pretty dominant character in the meta. However, Bloody Queen is no longer as dominant because Anne, Disciple, has actually kind of taken over, and Bloody Queen has fallen down to low A- tier, whereas Anne is now a high A tier hunter. Anne is just a better tie hunter because she has more win potential. And I'm talking about Anne. Why am I talking about Anne? Should be talking about Gardener. But the problem with Gardener is that she gets countered by almost every hunter. Sculptor, Bon, even Anne are all very strong against Gardener, and her bubbles are just very, very ineffective. Now, I'm sure some of you guys will say, okay, well, if you use Gardener properly, her bubble's pretty good. And okay, fair. Yeah, I mean, she's good against some hunters. But against a lot of them, a lot of these chip hunters, she will get countered and a good ship hunter. And I know, again, some of you guys will say, I've kited ship hunters before. I'm talking about like a top-tier good ship hunter will counter Gardener. They know how to counter Gardener. Some hunters don't, but a lot of top-tier hunters will know how to counter Gardener, and they'll be able to deal with her. They'll wait out her bubble, or they will hit her before the bubble activates. It's that simple. And that is why Gardener is a C-tier survivor. Yes, okay, Gardener gets a 50-second bubble at the start of the match. That's actually not bad. Okay, if you get found early game, that's actually pretty good in rank. Gardener isn't a terrible rank survivor. Because you can find, if you find the Gardener early game, she has 50 seconds of invincibility, or you force the hunter to hit them, go into attack recovery, and you make distance. It does feed his presence, but it's not the end of the world. However, in tournament, you will have rotation. Your teammates will be communicating, oh, the hunter's going here, you need to leave, and you will rotate away. You will leave that Cypher machine, get away, hide from the hunter, and by the time the hunter actually finds someone, 50 seconds has usually been up at that point. Right? And because of that, Gardener is simply just a C-tier survivor, especially in tournament gameplay. The next survivor in C-tier and the final survivor in C-tier is Painter. Now, Painter is, and I know you guys love your Painter as well, but Painter is easily countered by top hunters. And the reason why is all you have to do is just not look at the painting. I mean, a lot of Painters will drop a painting and they'll run. All the hunter has to do is literally change their camera angle and continue after the Painter, and they will not look at the painting. And they can literally walk over the painting as long as they have their camera angle changed away from the painting. They won't get drawn to the painting. And there's just nothing the Painter can do. I mean, they can run over the painting a few times, and maybe if they're lucky, but they're not creating distance. They're not getting away from the hunter at all, and it's just very, very suboptimal. Additionally, they only have 2 paintings, comparison to the old 3, which is really bad. The hunter can see the range of the painting, so they know when they have to start changing their camera angle, which is just like super rough on the Painter. I need to drink some water. Okay, there we go. Which is super rough on the Painter because it allows for the hunter to simply just look away very easily. One thing the Painter does have for them is they have that share ability where if you're rescued, you continue at the line of where you're rescued. It's no like if you pass the halfway mark, they're dead on share. No, with Painter, obviously, it continues, which isn't bad. That's actually a pretty good ability, and it makes it a lot harder on hunters. It can mind game hunters a little bit. Most good hunters won't get mind gamed, obviously, but it can mess with hunters a little bit, and it can make it challenging for the hunter. If you save someone like right before they die, a Painter before they die, they get put on share and they have like 5 seconds left on share. You save with Tide Turner, you get an extra 20 seconds. You buy so much time for your team. So Painter has a few little perks like that, but overall his abilities, kiting-wise, with the paintings are not very strong. They're easily countered, and that's why Painter is a C-tier hunter. C-tier survivor. Hunter. Yeah, he punts the hunter with the paintings. No. Yeah, C-tier survivor. I should have hunter tier list a few days ago, guys, so I'm kind of like not in the right mindset. Anyways, moving on to B tier. Oh my god, we're 12 minutes in, and I just got through C tier. This is going to take a while. Buckle up. We got some more survivors to get to. Okay, next is B tier. The next survivor in B tier is Enchantress. Enchantress is, I hate to say it, guys, but in top tiers, for those of you who are in mid and low tiers, I'm sure you guys love playing Enchantress. I loved playing Enchantress when I first started playing this game. She's so much fun. She's very good in those tiers. Once you get to high tiers, Enchantress gets absolutely destroyed. Good hunters will beat Enchantress a million times over, and there's nothing the Enchantress can do. Yes, Enchantress is annoying to deal with, but simply hunters bring Desperate Fight, and they bring Rage, which means they recover from the stuns so fast, they're almost non-existent. Hunters will just bait out stuns, make the Enchantress use them, and then just smack them and get hit on them. And the Enchantress cannot do anything about it. And again, once you get to top tiers, it's so hard to get kills as Enchantress. It's just, to kite as Enchantress. What am I saying? It's so easy to kill an Enchantress. Yes, Enchantress can technically harass. The hunter picks up a survivor, Enchantress does her one little stun, gets them to drop, and they get hit instantly after. But, you know, it can buy a little bit of time late game. However, it's nowhere near as effective as something like a forward. Even a cowboy would be better. A batter would be better. There's just far better harassers. Enchantress is not there for harassing. It's there for kiting, and she's just not a very good kiter. She has very vulnerable early game, no abilities to work with. Hunters can get free hits on her very easily. And there's just nothing she can do other than rock kite, and hopefully it works out. So, because of that, Enchantress is B tier and the worst character in B tier. However, once you get those 3 stacks up, it can be pretty good. The stun is nowhere near as long as a flare gun. It's called a flare gun stun because it's a long stun, but it's really nowhere near as effective as a coordinator using a flare gun. Especially again with Rage and Desperate Fight, you recover so fast, it's just almost non-existent. So that is the biggest problem, you know, with Enchantress, and again why she is low B tier. Okay, the next survivor in B tier is Acrobat. Now Acrobat is a very fun character and he's very gimmicky, but in reality he's actually not very good. And the reason why is he just does not do very good against a lot of ship hunters, and it's just a lot of hunters in general. I mean, you know, you take Sculptor, for example. Okay, you can use these bombs to make distance and, you know, do all this. The firebomb can cancel statues, sure, but the hunter can walk around them. The Acrobat's radius for these, you know, these bombs and these balls, or whatever you want to call them, balls, bombs, I don't know. they're not very big, and the hunter can easily walk around a lot of them. Yes, you can put them in areas where it's, you know, it forces them to get slowed down, but why wouldn't you just use Entomologist? Literally, Entomologist bees are like way slower than the Acrobat slow bomb. It's just, Entomologist is just 10 times better. Prospector Magnet, you can just drop it in the doorway, easy. Even a Dancer slow box would be more effective. So, because of these things, Acrobat is very weak. He does have, you know, he's good on specific maps. He's very, very good on Moonlight River Park, because you can jump off of the platforms on anywhere from, you can go into the fourth stop, I think is the best one. You can loop that platform for long periods of time, and there's nothing the hunter can really do about it. And yeah, that can be very strong. But you know, in reality, it's just a lot of maps he's not quite as good. For example, Arms Factory, just whatever. There's not much you can really do as an Acrobat. He's okay on Red Church when you go into the windows. If you use the slow interaction speed bomb, you can make them vault the windows slow, which isn't bad. It gets you some distance, but it's not too good, unfortunately. They're just better characters to work with there, and yeah, because of those things, Acrobat's just a low B tier survivor. He has no real support potential. I guess you could say, oh yeah, he slows the bombs, uses the bombs to slow the hunter down, whatever. It's not really support. There's better supporters, unfortunately. He's not a very good supporter. He's not a great kiter compared to some of the other, you know, better containment type characters, and that is why Acrobat is a B tier survivor. The next survivor in B tier is the new survivor, that is the Toy Merchant, or Toy Maker. I think it's Toy Merchant. I'm gonna say Toy Merchant because I feel like that's because she like carries toys which are from chests and then sells them to the survivor. She doesn't sell them, but technically that's like merchant, not maker. She didn't make them, she got them from a chest. Although she makes a little jumpy thing, so I don't know. Anyways, I'm just gonna say Toy Merchant because that's easier. Okay, Toy Merchant is Toy Merchant may actually be lower B tier. She may be higher. We're not completely sure where she is just yet because she's a new character. She hasn't been in rank for very long, and she has not been used in any tournaments yet. There haven't really been any tournaments, so we don't actually know. But in reality, looking at her overall, she's not very strong. Again, chip hunters can easily use their chip abilities to hit the Toy Maker. Toy Merchant. I just said I was going to say Toy Merchant. Toy Merchant before they can actually put down their slingshot thingy and jump on it. And that can be a problem for a lot of Toy Merchant players. It can be easier for hunters to deal with. And that is the biggest problem with her. If she has it set up, it's not bad, but you don't actually make distance with it. You can use the flying ability to like fly away. You make a little bit of distance, but you don't get very far. The hunters will still catch up to you pretty easily. And that is the biggest problem with her, is that with a lot of these characters, you want to use your abilities to create distance. Creating distance between you and the hunter is how you kite well and how you win games. Transition kiting constantly, and this character is not quite as good as as she should be for it. Okay, you can use it to jump up to two-story areas, like inside the two-story area at Moonlight River Park. That's a pretty good example. If you're decoding two-story Moonlight River Park, the two-story tent, the big tent on Moonlit, and you have your little catapult set up going up to two-story, you can jump on it, jump upstairs, and the hunter has to walk all the way up the stairs to catch up to you, and you can vault the window and then get your little flying boost thingy, because when you vault a two-story window, you get a flying boost, and you can fly away, which is pretty good, and you make distance doing that. But on pretty much, there's not really any other maps where it's that effective. Arms Factory is just terrible. She doesn't do anything on Arms Factory. Church, not great. Non two-story maps are just very, very difficult for her to be successful on. So she's not very versatile in that manner. Okay, she can carry items around, which could be useful in tournament. We'll have to see how China uses her in the upcoming IVL Identity 5 League. But in reality, I don't think she'll get used at all. She's not very good. Very, very vulnerable. Can be killed very quickly. Again, useful for carrying items. Useful for using the catapults. But kiting-wise, very, very weak. And just has no kite potential for the most part. And that's why she is a mid-B tier survivor. Okay, the next survivor in B tier is Doctor. Now Doctor's always been B tier for the most part. I don't think she's ever really been like anything special. Let me drink some more water. Hold up. Yeah, Doctor's always been pretty average, just an average character, nothing special. Yes, she has the ability to heal herself. She does counter specific hunters. She's very strong against Mad Eyes, pretty strong against Dream Witch, and very strong against Photographer. But besides that, she's weak against pretty much every other hunter. Very weak against Sculptor, in that, you chip the Doctor. I know it seems like, oh, Bonbon and Sculptor it's good against because he can heal off the quarter damage. It's actually not. Against a Bonbon and Sculptor, they will never give you enough time to heal yourself. A Doctor is good against characters with slow pallet breaking speed that you can heal yourself while they're breaking pallets or something like that. But against a Sculptor and against a Bonbon, for example, if you're trying to heal yourself near a pallet, they will just drop a bunch of statues and bombs on you. And you have to stop healing yourself to move to dodge them, or else you will get hit, and the heal will get canceled, and it's just pointless. And additionally, remember what I said before, the biggest thing about kiting is you want to constantly transition kite. Creating distance and transition kiting is very strong. Now, as a Doctor, this isn't bad because you have your Veteran's bonus. When you get hit as a Doctor, you do get that speed boost, that Veteran's bonus, and you can make a very good distance against the Hunter. However, you cannot make distance if you're stopping to heal yourself. So if you stop to heal yourself, then you're not creating distance, you're not transition kiting like you should be, and you're not kiting to your best potential because of that. And there are just better kiting characters that have better transition kite and are better overall. And while Doctor may be she's not a good kiter, not a very good rescuer. She can heal herself after a rescue, which isn't bad, but she has nothing to really rescue with. She is a decent support character, again, in that she can heal off, quarter damage hits, like from a Mad Eyes Fence or a Bon Bon Bomb or something like that. She's decent against Dream Witch in that if the Dream Witch hits you, you can usually get your heal off before the Dream Witch is able to hit you again, because the Dream Witch then has to patrol her, and that takes a while to work, and you can get the heal off in time. So that makes Doctor pretty good, against a Dream Witch, but just getting against Mad Eyes, if the Mad Eyes fences her, she can just heal herself right up. Mad Eyes isn't chasing you or applying any sort of pressure, so you can easily get the heal off for free. And yeah, she's good against those three hunters. Photographer, you can, obviously you can heal off any sort of weird damage that the photo puts on you. So because of those things, she counters Photographer and Mad Eyes, and is also pretty strong against Dream Witch as well. Besides that, she's not really good against any other hunter. She's alright against Bloody Queen, but not anything special again. And that just makes Doctor a B tier survivor. The next survivor in B tier, and against Joggy's wishes, this is Magician. Now, Joggy will probably kill me for this, but unfortunately, I believe this is currently the truth. Every F's Fusion member, besides Joggy, plus a few of my friends who I asked who are top players, all agreed with me on this. Magician is a high B tier survivor. Now, Magician is a pretty good kiter, but he is a very hard time kiting chip hunters like Sculptor and Bonbon. And as we know, those are very, very prevalent characters in the current Identity V meta in both tournament and ranked gameplay. So that makes Magician somewhat unviable. Now, additionally, Magician is very hard to rescue because Magician has an increased rescue time. It's 40%. I think it's 40% faster or 60%. I think it's 40%. He takes 40% longer to save. So that's kind of a problem with Magician, is that it's like, okay, well, Magician can kite good. You have your illusions, but if the hunter predicts the illusion, you're going to get hit anyway. Okay, you can get Terror Shocked. You cannot get Terror Shocked anymore in illusion, so that's not bad. But in reality, you don't make a lot of distance. Good hunters, guys, top hunters, will follow the trail of the survivor. And it's very hard to break what we call break the hunter's ankles, which means like lose the hunter. It's very hard to lose them in top tiers because good hunters will always just see the trail of the illusion, and they'll also try to predict it, and they're usually pretty good at predicting it. So that's kind of a problem. Now, very good Magician players like Joggy can make it work and still be effective, but compared to other kiters, there's just nowhere near as effective and as strong. And additionally, it's very hard to rescue a Magician, which can be very difficult to win games if you're in ranked tournament gameplay. So because of those things, Magician is a B tier survivor, high B tier, but not quite A minus tier, unfortunately, this time around. And yeah, that's why Magician is a B tier survivor. The next survivor in B tier is Cowboy, and this is the last survivor in B tier. Now, Cowboy used to be able to one-tap last, and we all know that. That was very miserable for hunters, very fun for survivors. Took a lot of skill, but once you got it down, it was almost unbeatable. I mean, it was almost uncounterable. So I'm not going to really express my opinion on if Cowboy should have been nerfed back then, because that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about current Cowboy. Current Cowboy is actually a very good kiter, very good transition kiter, and this is why Cowboy is actually not a bad character and is viable, essentially in tournament gameplay. While he may be high B tier, not quite A- tier, he is still very strong. He may actually be A- tier. I could be wrong on this, guys. Cowboy probably is A- tier, to be honest, but I've re-edited this video so many times, and I don't have time to go back and do it. So Cowboy's on the brink of A- and B tier, but Cowboy is a very strong character in that he is a very good transition kiter. He can lasso pallets, lasso cipher machines, and create a lot of distance because he gets a speed boost every time he lastens one of those. Additionally, he also can vault windows, get a broken window speed boost, vault the pallet for a knee-jerk reflex speed boost, and Cowboys can constantly transition kite. They're pretty good against Sculptor and Bonbon because you can constantly transition kite away from those statues, away from those bombs, and it can be very hard for those type of hunters to deal with. Additionally, Cowboy has also very weak, but is still there. He does have harassing potential. He can technically save games. Nowhere near as good as something like Ford or even Wildling, but he still has some harassing potential. Unfortunately, it's countered by excitement, and it's easily countered by the hunter just dropping the survivor a bunch of times. So that can be a problem for a Cowboy. Sorry, I'm tired. I did not get a lot of sleep last night. But that can be, kind of an issue for Cowboy. But overall, Cowboy, again, is not a bad character by any means. A good transition kiter. Can go in for rescues. You can lasso survivors from a distance. For example, if it's a Bonbon or if it's an Ann that uses their cats to prevent the survivors from going for a rescue, you can just simply lasso them off the chair. There's a few cool little areas on Red Church where you can lasso through windows and the hunters won't really expect it. Good hunters will look out for that, but you can still get away with it sometimes, so it's pretty cool. So Cowboy's not a bad transition kiting character. He's not the best. Obviously, his decoding's a little bit slow. Not the best harasser anymore, but he's overall not bad and probably A- tier, but I do have him at high B tier. Oh man, okay, are we halfway through? Not even halfway through. We're almost halfway through. All right, this is gonna be a long video, dude, probably an hour. All right, moving on to the next tier. This is A- tier. The first character in A- tier is Prisoner. Now, I know a lot of you guys saw the Identity V community YouTube channel, and they did a tier list, and you guys weren't very happy with what they did and stuff like this. And this is one of the major changes that I made is they had Prisoner in like S tier or S- tier. Prisoner is not S tier. He should not be related to anything related to S at all. He's not a great character. He isn't bad in some circumstances, and he actually is enough to be A- tier, and I'll explain why. Prisoner is kind of gimmicky, but it's also decent against something like Dream Witch. This is a strategy actually used quite a bit in Japan, where Prisoner essentially against a Dream Witch likes to camp cipher machines, push survivors off of ciphers, but if you just connect to those ciphers, then you can do the ciphers from a distance, and it can be very hard for the Dream Witch to actually, do anything about it. And it's also very good against the Dream Witch in that Dream Witch is one of those hunters that likes to control ciphers in the late game. And, you can leave a bunch of cipher machines primed. The Prisoner can just connect to them and just finish them whenever he wants. And it'll mind game the Dream Witch into thinking they don't have to patrol the ciphers as much as they actually do, right? And, that can be very strong going against the Dream Witch, as a survivor side. So that's not bad for Prisoner to have. He's also not bad, like, later rounds. Again, you can finish off cipher machines. If someone dies on someone's cipher, maybe you can connect to it and finish it up later. Maybe you can connect to... I don't know, a cipher machine. If someone had to go for a rescue, you can connect to someone's cipher and finish it up as they go for rescue, so they don't have to go back to it, and they can start to do cipher, which promotes Cipher Rush, which I'm sure you guys have heard before. It's all about Cipher Rush and getting those ciphers done as quickly as possible. And Prisoner definitely does promote that. He's also not quite as fragile as something as like Mechanic or Mind's Eye. He's a better kiter in that he doesn't have any vaulting debuffs like Mechanic or Mind's Eye, and he also has a shock, which can give him... it's like a 1 stack of Enchantress stun. It's not bad. Maybe get him a little bit of distance. Maybe get him to a pallet in time, prevent a hit. Overall, it's not great, but it's not bad. And you have to be careful with it, though. You don't want to cancel attack recovery accidentally, although it does sometimes happen. So, again, you want to be wary of that. But, again, overall, Prisoner's not bad. He's not quite as fragile as something like Mind's Eye or Mechanic, and can finish up cipher machines. So, overall, that makes Prisoner an A- tier survivor. The next survivor in A- tier, this has actually been a huge jump from what I've had her in the past. This is Female Dancer. I've actually had Dancer in C tier a lot recently over the last like 2 or 3 tier lists. I've never been a huge fan of Dancer, but recently, for those of you who watched ICL, Identity V Community League, My team played against Legacy, and we actually played against All For One, who's one of the best hunters on the server. And believe me when I tell you this, it's not easy to beat him. When you beat him, it is a rare occurrence, and it's very exciting. And we were actually able to beat him on Arms Factory using Female Dancer. And the reason why Dancer is very good on something like Arms Factory is because if you're the first kiter, going kiting in a match, you set up music boxes in Factory. You can set up slow boxes and fast boxes, and you can loop the factory windows with the slow boxes and the fast boxes for a long period of time, and the hunter has a long time to catch up to you. If they stop to remove the boxes, transition kite to 3-pallet, or transition kite to a better kiting area. While they're back there, all the way back in Factory, breaking the boxes, you're gone. Just get away, do a new cipher, make distance, do any of those things. And it can be very hard for the hunter to deal with. You can also put the music boxes in the pallet. If you guys know you want to talk about the pallet in Factory on Arms Factory, once they go to break that slow box, you just pallet stun them. Create distance. Create time. It's about creating time for your teammates to finish cipher machines and get that cipher rush going. So Dancer is very good. She can support her teammates like that, and she's not a bad kiter once you get those boxes down. It can be very hard for hunters to deal with. She's also very good against Sculptor. A slowed down Sculptor on Arms Factory, it takes so long to kill a Dancer. I mean, Dancer can loop her forever in there. And because of that, Dancer is a low A- tier survivor, but definitely viable in tournament and ranked gameplay. It's something to watch out for moving forward. I think my team Fuzion will most likely be using her, and I think other teams will most likely be using her as well. She is used a little bit in China. Actually, GR, one of the best teams in China, uses her as well to counter Sculptor on Arms Factory. So it's definitely, they've even used her round 1. They've used round 1 Dancer before, so that makes Dancer, Dancer is a very viable character because of that, and is an A- tier survivor. The next survivor in A- tier is Barmaid. Now, Barmaid is, the only reason Barmaid is A- tier is because she's a counter to 2 hunters. She counters Dream Witch and is also a pretty good counter to Bloody Queen. That's it. She is not really good against any other characters in the game. I'm going to be honest, or against any other hunters. She's not good. Barmaid is good against Dream Witch because... Oh, sorry. Excuse me for that. You did not hear that. Barmaid is good against Dream Witch because she can once you get hit with that leech follower, spawn follower, or whatever, you can use your drink, and it's usually impossible for the Dream Witch to actually hit you again before you're able to get your heal off with your drink, because you have to use Patroller, and that takes a long time to actually get the heal off, that takes a long time, and you get the heal off easily. And your argument could be, all right, well, why don't I just play Doctor? She does the same thing. Well, the thing with Barmaid is that Barmaid can transition kite while using her drink. Doctor cannot. We talked about this with Doctor, and that Doctor cannot transition kite. Again, guys, a huge key to kiting in this game is constant transition kite and making distance between you and the hunter. Barmaid can heal herself while making distance, whereas Doctor cannot. She has to stop to heal herself, and she cannot make that distance, which can be very crucial in a lot of matches. So that's why Barmaid is a little bit better against Dream Witch than Doctor is, and that's why you see they do use Doctor a bit in Japan, I believe, to counter Dream Witch, but they use Barmaid more in China. And that is, in China, just the way it is, China is more reliable. China is the best server in the world for Identity V, so, because of that, Barmaid is better. She can transition kite away from the Dream Witch, which is very strong. Same thing for against a Bloody Queen. If a Bloody Queen mirrors you, your drink takes 20 seconds to heal you. The Bloody Queen mirror doesn't come back for 15, plus the 13 seconds of cooldown when the mirror is actually on its way running out. So say the Bloody Queen mirrors you, the mirror lasts for 13 seconds, right? Say she mirrors you, hits you within the first 3 seconds. So then you use your healing drink. It's now 10 seconds before the mirror runs out, then another 15 before the mirror comes back. That's 25 seconds, which is more than enough time to get your heal off. Now, the only downside to this is if the Dream Witch carries Blink. If the Bloody Queen carries Blink. If she has her Blink online by the time you catch up with the Barmaid, she mirrors you, then blinks you for the kill. And that is why Barmaid's so weak, because she gets countered by one of the most common traits in the game, Blink. And Barmaid is specifically A- tier for countering Dream Witch and also being pretty decent against Bloody Queen, but honestly, there's just better counters as well. That's the other thing, but, anyways. So that's why Barmaid is A- tier. She also is heavily countered by chip hunters. Sculptor and Bonbon just absolutely hard counter Barmaid, really, really hard. You use your drink, you get bombed, there goes your drink, and you can take more damage. You get statue, there goes your drink, you take more damage. Your argument could be like, okay, maybe if I have a Seer on my team, it could help. In reality, sure it's going to help, but it's really not going to be much better. And in reality, you're still probably not going to get your drink off against a good ship hunter. So that makes Barmaid very, very weak. In that, Barmaid with Seer combo is good against non-ship hunters as well. But at that point, they'll just go for the Seer. I mean, there's just not much you can... It just as a Barmaid, it's just not good. You're very good against Dreamwitch. You're not good against much other hunters overall. And that's what makes Barmaid a low A- tier survivor. The next survivor in A- tier is Embalmer. I'm going to go quickly with Embalmer. Embalmer is good in that Embalmer can, like, he can be good against hunters that have wasted their teleport. For example, hunters with good camp. Let's take hunters with good camp, for example. Also slow hunters. Actually, any slow hunter that's already used their teleport. So, Feaster, Bonbon, Sculptor, Axeboy, I don't know, Ripper, I guess, if people play Ripper still, I don't know. But stuff like that. And that's basically because, you get yourself in a situation where it's like, okay, well, I'm going to, the hunter teleports me with Quenching Effect. Typically, Embalmer is used in a tournament setting where you have 3 characters that are unchaseable, and then you have an Embalmer as the 4th character. What I mean by unchaseable is you have like a Wildling. It's so hard to chase a Wildling, you'll get kited forever. Mercenary, you'll get kited forever. Forward, you'll get kited forever. Or Explorer, you can just hide. And you'll never find the Explorer, and you'll be looking forever. So then you're forced to chase the Embalmer. So basically, as a hunter, you wait for your Quenching Effect to come up, you teleport onto the Embalmer, but at that point, the Embalmer has already set up their coffin on the opposite end of the map. The Embalmer takes a hit, whatever kites away from, even farther away from their coffin, takes the hit, goes down, uses their coffin to put themselves back on the other side of the map. The hunter has already used their teleport. This is very good on big maps like Moonlit River Park. The hunter's already used their teleport, and the Embalmer's gone. And you're just not catching the Embalmer at that point. Now, Embalmer does get countered. Embalmer's not very good in rank because he gets countered by rank hunters. For example, Breaking Wheel, Wu Chang, easily countered by those hunters. But against these other hunters, he can be very strong. And he's very good in tournament gameplay where you communicate with your teammates, where you're setting up the coffin, where to kite to get away from it, and how to rotate properly to get the hunter to waste their teleport so they can't go after you, after you used your coffin. At that point, then they're forced to chase one of the rescue characters like, Wildling or Mercenary, and that's never ideal for a hunter. And that is why Embalmer is a A- tier survivor. The next survivor, let me get some more water, hold up. Alright, the next survivor in A- tier, I actually had this survivor a lot lower, but a lot of the Fusion people were like, even Tyrone said, oh, this character's a lot better, and that is Batter. Now, Batter, currently have him in A- tier. I actually originally had him in B tier, but they thought he should be A- tier, so I went with it. And Batter's not a bad character. He's a pretty good harassing character. He can buy a lot of time. He can buy some time for the team. You can help support. His decoding is slow. That's the biggest problem. If you didn't have a slow decoding, you'd actually be a pretty viable character. But for the most part, he's never really used in China. He's used a little bit here in NAEU, and I think that's it. I don't even know if he's used much on any other servers. I could be wrong, but he's never really used much in China. And the biggest problem with Batter is that, his decoding is just slow, and there's just better harassers. Yes, Batter can save on balloons. You pick up the survivor if you get the hit off in time. Then okay, great. You hit the survivor, the hunter back. The survivor gets to make distance, and maybe they can rebound kite. But the difference between something like a Batter and like a forward is that the forward can also stun at the same time, which is even better. You can get them to be balloon saved, and they also are stunned. The hunter's stunned, so the survivor can make distance. Or even a Wildling. The Wildling's push is usually farther than the Batter's hit. So that can also be, Wildling can be a little bit better in terms of harassing. But Batter's not a bad kiter. He can hit the hunter back once they, get close to them. He can he can save while one shot. He can stun on chair. And what I mean by stun on chair is when the hunter chairs the survivor, he uses his rage ability to stun the hunter as they're chairing the survivor. The hunter can't dodge in time because they're in the middle of the chairing animation of chairing the survivor, and then the Batter can get the save off uninjured. If you need to go for a save while someone's injured, then fine, you can do that as a Batter. It's pretty good. Because of that, Batter is a mid A- tier survivor. Slow decoding, but a pretty good kiter. You have that increased pallet throwing and vaulting speed, I think is what it is. And then you also can you can harass the hunter a little bit. Buy a little bit of time for your team. You can also rescue a one-shot. He's not a bad rescuer overall. And again, that is why Batter is an A- tier survivor. Alright guys, we're back continuing where we left off. Sorry, I had to take a quick break because It was already a very long video, and I was getting kind of tired, so I had to take a quick break, but we're back now. Continuing into A- tier, the next character in A- tier is Perfumer. Now, Perfumer is actually not a bad character right now, and the reason why Perfumer is not a bad character is that she's actually pretty strong against currently the best hunter in the game, Breaking Wheel. Now, some of you, that may be a controversial statement. Some people may not agree with that, but in China, he is the best hunter in the game, the most banned hunter in China currently. So, but yeah, basically, Perfumer got an adjustment in which she is able to perfume off spikes from Breaking Wheel. So if you are if you're a Breaking Wheel, and you know, you go roll over the Perfumer, if she perfumes before she gets rolled over, then perfumes back, the spike will get removed, and then she has invincibility for, I think it's 4 seconds, because every time it's a Breaking Wheel, you roll over someone, they get invincibility for 4 seconds from being rolled over again, right? So yeah, that's the thing with Breaking Wheel, she gets invincibility for 4 seconds, so that's pretty good. So you perfume once, get a spike off, as long as you can kite, you know, for 4 extra seconds, because I think it's what, 8 seconds of cooldown for perfumes, or is it 10? It's 8 or 10, I'm not sure. But anyways, as long as you can kite that out, you can perfume off the spike yet again. You can just perfume off 3 straight spikes. And you can buy a lot of time as a perfumer doing that. So Perfumer's pretty good in that manner. She's also good with, combined with a Seer against a lot of hunters, because you can simply just, like, you know, she goes for a perfume, the hunter baits it out, you give him the Seer Owl, and you're fine. And you can, you know, you get your perfume back, and it's good. This is good against non-chip hunters. The Perfumer is actually very weak against chip hunters. Very weak against Sculptor, very weak against Bon. But she is pretty good against non-chip hunters if there's a Seer on the team, because you can perfume out the Seer. She's also pretty weak against Anne, because Anne can just cancel her abilities or stun her, and she can't use a perfume, so that's pretty bad. But yeah, she's weak against Anne, weak against chip hunters, but she is actually strong against Breaking Wheel, again, which is one of the better hunters in the game. She's also pretty strong against Bloody Queen as well. Because of the Bloody Queen mirrors, you can perfume the mirror hit, and you can do that up to 3 times. You can force out a bunch of mirrors, and it can be very difficult for the Bloody Queen to deal with. And yeah, because of those things, there's not really much to say besides that. Perfumer also has an ability, essentially, that helps her rescue. You know, you can perfume off damage when going in for a rescue, like a Bon or Sculptor, and still make the save. So Perfumer is not a bad rescuer as well. So Perfumer can also carry Tide Turner. So you can be a good kiter against some hunters, and a good rescuer, and she decodes at regular speed. She does heal a lot slower, so that can be kind of a problem with her. But besides that, she is a very versatile character, in that she can rescue and kite, and that's what makes her a, I would say, high A- tier survivor. She's also very good, actually I forgot to mention, also very good on 2-story maps. For example, Sacred Heart Hospital is the best one. If you go into Sacred Heart Hospital, you know all the, you know, there's a bunch of holes in the upstairs 2-story that drop down to the lower floor. If you perfume, the hunter's chasing you, you perfume at the top of the hole, then drop down to the bottom. The hunter has to wait for your perfume to disappear before they can chase after you, and you create a bunch of distance for transition kiting. And that's what I talk about a lot, guys, right? Constant transition kiting as a survivor will win you games. And will prolong your kites for long periods of time. And that's very strong as a perfumer. Because you can perfume the top of the wall. If the hunter drops down after you, then you just perfume back upstairs. And the hunter has to go walk all the way around, come all the way back upstairs to get to you, and it wastes a ton of time and a lot of time for free Cypher Rush. So again, that is why Perfumer is A- tier. And even if you get your perfume baited, if you're kiting in an open area, like on a flat area, not 2-story, just a flat area, you get your perfume baited, you can use that perfume to make distance, because if the hunter goes after you, you perfume back to the old perfume, and if they wait at the perfume, you just create distance. Simple as that. Yeah, again, so that is why Perfumer is high A- tier. The next survivor in A- tier is Prospector. Now, Prospector is Prospector's good because he can actually support teammates. Prospector not only is a good kiter, he can also use those magnets to pull the hunter back and create distance for your survivor, for your kiter. And again, distance is key when you're playing survivor, right? So Prospector is very good in that he's not only is he a good kiter, he's a good harasser, good supporter. Not a good harasser, I would say, but he is a good supporter. Prospector can use those magnets to, you know, stun the hunter when they're coming close. You can pull them into objects, or if they have a small hitbox, you can simply just push them away. Use that to create some distance. Now, if you're in an open area with no places to pull the hunter into, and you're going against a hunter with a big hitbox, then that could be a bit of a problem. For example, White Form Wuching, Feaster, something along those lines. You know, that can be problematic as a hunter, as a survivor. However, if you're in a very narrow area or an enclosed area, that can be very good as a Prospector, because you can pull the hunter into those objects and stun them. You can sometimes get off long stuns, which can stun the hunter for long periods of time. This is also very good while harassing and supporting. And yeah, again, if the hunter has a small hitbox, just push them away. That works as well. And Prospector decodes at regular speed. Additionally, Prospector also gets a speed boost when he passes through a Cipher machine. A very fast speed boost, which can be very hard to catch Prospector sometimes. And that can really benefit you if you're kiting as Prospector. So Prospector is a high A- tier survivor for a reason. He's a good kiter. He can stun the hunter, which can help you make distance for transition kiting. He can support your teammates late game if they're trying to kite away from a hunter. You can pull the hunter away from them and stun them, which creates distance for your survivor. And he can also technically harass by a little bit of time to get the hunter to drop the survivor a few times, and that could be beneficial, as a survivor side. So, because of that, Prospector is a high A- tier survivor. The next survivor in A- tier and the final survivor in A- tier is First Officer. Now, Officer is a decent character. He actually recently got a buff in which he can save. If he uses his pocket watch, he can actually save. He gets 5 seconds of Tide Turner, even if he is one shot, and he would normally go down. He gets a Tide Turner effect for 5 seconds, which still allows him to make the rescue. Now, the biggest issue with Prospector and why he's actually somewhat of a weak rescuer is because that even if you cut off the sorry, did I say Prospector? First Officer, not for Prospector. First Officer, yeah. If you cut off the First Officer from a distance in your hunter with a pretty good hitbox, you can simply just swing in the open. Just swing at the air over and over and over until you hit that First Officer. And you can cut them off from a distance that way. And that can be a problem. That's why something like Gravekeeper is a little bit better. But you can cut them off from a distance that way. And First Officer can sometimes easily be double hit because of that. You cut them off from a distance, get a hit. Even if you get your Tide Turner effect, you can still hit them again on chair. Double hit them, and as a rescuer, your goal is never to get double hit. You want to make that rescue as clean as possible without getting double hit and give your teammate a chance to possibly transition kite away. First Officer sometimes can struggle with that. He is pretty good in terms of, like, it's hard to chase him. It's very hard to chase him. He also has increased chair time, 20% longer, which can be pretty good. So First Officer is a good character to have on a heavy rescuer team comp because it's not a character you really want to chase as a hunter. And additionally, he's a good rescuer. He's a pretty good rescuer, and he also makes it so he has 20% longer chair time, which is very difficult on hunters because he dies really, really slow. And because of that, First Officer is a high A- tier survivor, the best A- tier survivor in the game. Not one of the better rescue characters, but not a bad rescue character overall, and is viable later rounds in tournament gameplay and also in ranked gameplay. Going on to the next tier. The next tier is A tier, and this is actually maybe a surprise to some of you guys, but the first survivor in A tier is Entomologist. Entomologist got a huge buff that actually made her very, very strong. She is one of the best transition kiters in the game now because of it. And again, we talk about this constantly. Transition kiting is key, especially in tournament gameplay. Now, Entomologist is pretty easy to kite with now, but also is very broken. What you can do with Entomologist is your bees, when you ride the bees, you get super, super fast. You're not quite faster than the hunter, but you almost are as fast as the hunter. They're barely faster. But it's like so much to a point where you make so much distance and it takes so long for the hunter to catch up to you. It's very difficult. So Entomologist can essentially transition really, really far with those bees. She can not only use the bees to harass, also if you walk into the bees as a hunter, you get slowed down 85% slower. You get slowed down so much, you literally have to break the bees. And at that point, the Entomologist can just cancel them, bring them back to her, jump on the bees and start riding them again. And there's only a few hunters that can deal with this. Anne can stun the Entomologist, Bloody Queen can mirror the Entomologist, and Sculptor can knock her out of the bees with statues. Every other hunter struggles against this. Bon. Okay, you can bomb chain. Well, the Entomologist can move around them easily because of how fast she is. Additionally, even a Sculptor, you just transition in the open with those bees, and it is so hard for the Sculptor to statue you. As long as you dodge statues, you're fine, and you're so fast you can dodge them easily. Additionally, Entomologist can support. She can use those bees to push the hunter away from survivors, allowing them to create distance. If the hunter, for example, hits a survivor, goes into attack recovery, you push the hunter super far away with the bees. The hunter literally has to break the bees, hit them twice. That's 2 hits, which is, a lot of time the hunter's not moving forward at all. If she walks through them, she's 85% slower, which means she's not getting anywhere because she's ridiculously slow. And the hit survivor plus their speed boost from getting hit makes a ton of distance, and you can usually allow that for the hunter to lose the survivor because of that. And as Entomologist, as kiting, you can also put the bees in very, confined, narrow areas that the hunter has to walk through, and that slows them down significantly because they're 85% slower, and they have to actually break the bees, which creates distance for the Entomologist. If she hits them once, you can simply call the bees back to her, jump on the bees and start riding them and create even more distance, and it's really hard for the hunter to catch up. And because of all these things, she also, when she vaults windows, I think she still has it. I'm not sure if they took it out. I'm pretty sure she still does. Every time a survivor vaults that window or that pallet later in the game, yeah, she should still have it. They get a 10% increased vaulting speed boost, which is not bad. So overall, because of all these buffs and adjustments, Entomologist is now an A-tier survivor and viable in both tournament and ranked gameplay. And this is rare to say. Kiting characters, she is also a supporter. She's also a very good kiter, but those types of characters typically don't do too well in tournaments, but Entomologist is very much viable, and we should see her probably get played in both China, Japan, and NAEU. So be excited for that, guys. I'm excited to see that, and it should be happening pretty soon. Okay, moving on to the next character in A tier, that is Wildling. Now, after Wildling's nerf, a few of you guys have made the argument Wildling sucks. I completely disagree. Wildling does exactly what he needs to do to be successful. Wildling is not a character that's known for harassing. He can harass, but that's not his main goal. Wildling's main goal is essentially to be a character that is unchaseable. When you're playing Hunter, and you go into a match, and you find the Wildling first, they get on their board, they're too fast to be caught, you're like, oh dang, now I have to walk all the way, to the next Cypher machine, or halfway across the map to find another survivor, and the rest of that survivor team gets a ton of free decoding. Because you just wasted your time, looking at a Wildling, and then now you have to leave and go to a different spawn point and find a different survivor that spawned in the game. Wildling is unchaseable because of that. Late game, Wildling can clutch dungeon. Even with 35 seconds on that board, that is still enough time to get to dungeon. The gates open in 20 seconds. So if you can get to that dungeon, if you can get to that exit gate, and outspeed the Hunter, GG's. You just turn a game from a tie to a win or a loss to a tie because of, your Wildling being too fast for the Hunter to catch and being unchaseable. Wildling can still technically harass, but he only has 35 seconds of board late game, usually if you get on your board early, which can be a problem. So typically, Wildling wouldn't harass. You also don't harass that much with Wildling anyways, especially in tournament gameplay. You're mostly there just for decoding, rescuing, and you can support a little bit, but again, it's very uncommon. You're mostly just there as an unchaseable character. And Wildling is still unchaseable. Think about it this way. If you have used your boar a bunch of times, your boar is only at 35 seconds, the Hunter finds you late game, you jump on your boar, they literally have to chase you for 35 seconds, then they have to chase you, raw kiting wise. So say you're able to kite for another 35 seconds. Wildling's not a great kiter, but a full presence Hunter, you can probably kite another 35 seconds. That is 70 seconds of a full presence Hunter free kite that the Hunter wasted on you that they could have been stopping ciphers. With accelerated decoding, that's enough for a regular decoder to do an entire cipher machine. Plus some. I think a regular decoder with accelerated decodes one cipher in 60 seconds, if I'm not mistaken. So that's very, very strong. And on top of that, Wildling can get all the way up to the chair. When going for a rescue, he can get all the way to the chair uninjured. Because you can ride your boar all the way up to the chair and the Hunter can't do anything about it. So because of this thing, Wildling is an A-tier survivor. He can also cancel Tinnitus, which can be useful. It can mind game the Hunter a little bit, and it can be useful for your survivor team. Wildling also promotes rotation. Again, if you find the Wildling early game, the Wildling, if they want to, they can follow the Hunter around a little bit, tell your teammates where the Hunter's going. The teammates can rotate accordingly, leave their cipher machines, hide, get away from the Hunter, and that allows for the rest of the people who aren't getting chased to decode for free. And because of that, Wildling is still an A-tier survivor. It's still a very viable survivor. Not so much in ranked gameplay. He's not actually quite as good because you want to be able to harass and rank and whatever, and you want to just promote Cypher Rush and rank. But with rotation in tournament, he's a very viable tournament survivor. The next survivor in A tier is Coordinator. There's not much to say about Coordinator. She has a flare gun, pretty good. Coordinator is usually used in tournament as a kiting character, not so much as a rescuer. And that's because what you do in most circumstances is later rounds when your other characters like Seer and Priestess and Mechanic are banned, you typically play. This is a common team comp where you go double rescuer. Plus Coordinator, and then an Explorer. So essentially the idea with that strategy is Explorer cannot get found because he's a really good hider. You don't want to chase any of the rescuers, so you're forced to chase a Coordinator. Now you bring Broken Windows and Snooze on Coordinator, and Coordinator has an increased chair time 10% faster. Or it dies 10% slower, so it's 10% longer chair time, not faster, but longer chair time overall. On top of that, she has a flare gun, which helps her kite, plus an increased vaulting speed. I think it's 10% faster. So overall, Coordinator's a good kiter. She can waste a lot of time. She can support with her flare gun. She can rescue. She can harass with her flare gun. She can do so much for the team to support them that can really be detrimental to Hunters. And because of those things, Coordinator is an A-tier survivor. Now, she can get her gun blocked by statues and like Feast or Tentacles, for example. And Anne's Cross, but that usually never happens. So that's the biggest problem. She's not getting against Dream Witch as well because the Dream Witch can simply, just block switch to another spawn follower, block with a spawn follower or whatever. However, she is good against something like Bonbon, because Bonbon is a very good camper. All the coordinator has to do is run up to the Bonbon, shoot them with the flare gun, and make the rescue. It's that easy. And you can't get stuffed unless they have excitement, of course, or they dodge the flare gun. You gotta be careful not to let the hunter dodge the flare gun. But besides that, coordinator is a very viable, pretty good in rank, very good in tournament, and an A-tier survivor overall. Getting into the last two survivors in A tier, the next survivor in A tier is Explorer. Now, Explorer is actually for a little while, last couple seasons, has been very, very strong. Explorer is essentially an unchaseable decoding character. Okay, he is a decoder that cannot be chased. Okay, think about it this way. You're like, oh, Mechanic. Okay, you know, Mechanic's a good decoder, but she dies quickly because she's bad at kiting. Mind's Eye is a good decoder, but she dies quickly because she's bad at kiting. Explorer can hide away from the hunter and cannot get chased. You are a character that promotes Cypher Rush by using those instantly doing 50% of a password page, 50% of a cipher with a password page, and you can't get found because you hide really well. Now, as an Explorer, you have to be careful. Because you do give a notification when you pick up a password page. So as long as you pick up a page away from the hunter, you know they haven't used teleport or they're committing to another survivor, then you can safely pick up your page across the map. If the hunter sees that and walks all the way across the map to find you, you're already gone or you're already hidden and the hunter can't find you. Simple as that. And because of those things, Explorer is a... there's not much to say. Just a very good decoder, very good hider, very low-stress character to play. You pretty much just decode the whole game. You never really have to kite. You're a decoder that doesn't really kite. Explorer can even bring Tide Turner if you want, because you know, Explorer can just simply hide throughout the game, never gets chased, and you can save late game with Tide Turner. It can change games. You never know. You never really need to bring Broken Windows because you never really will be kiting because you should be hiding most of the game. Now he is weak on some open maps. Like he's not great on Moonlit River Park. He's viable but not great. He's not the best on Red Church because there's not a lot of hiding places, but he's very good on maps with a lot of grass and a lot of places to hide, like Leo's Memory. You can hide in the snowballs, in the snowy areas. You can hide in grass. You can hide very well in Lakeside Village, very well in Arms Factory, very well in Sacred Heart Hospital, things like that. And because of that, Explorer is a high A-tier survivor. The final survivor in A tier, and this I almost put him in S tier. I actually really love this character. I think he's very underrated. That is Gravekeeper. He's not quite S tier. I think he's very, very high A plus tier, S minus tier character. But yeah, that is Gravekeeper. Gravekeeper is a very good rescuer because it's very, very hard to get stuffed as Gravekeeper. He's not quite good against something like Bonbon, but he's good against pretty much every other hunter in terms of rescuing. You have increased rescue time. I think it's 50% faster. You save so fast as a Gravekeeper that the hunter can't even react in time to Terror Shock you, most hunters. So, you know, you can simply jump out a shovel and just instantly save. If you farm your teammate, who cares? You get the rescue off against a good camping hunter. Whatever, dude. Like, it's so great. So Gravekeeper is just really good in that aspect. And that he's also very hard to get chased. If you chase the Gravekeeper early game, you will get kited. The only hunter that actually has a good time, you know, a good way of dealing with Gravekeeper early game is Bonbon. You know, you can bomb them out of shovel and then, you know, kind of just hit them and then you're fine. But with other hunters, Sculptor, very hard to... Sometimes you can statue them out of shovel, but it can be very difficult to do. Violinist can sometimes note a Gravekeeper out of shovel, but that's also very difficult to do. Yeah, it's very hard to knock a Gravekeeper out of shovel. So that is the biggest downside to Gravekeeper, or sorry, to playing against the Gravekeeper as a hunter. But the only downside again is Bonbon. But besides that, yeah, Gravekeeper literally against a Sculptor, you can you know, shovel up to the chair, jump out of the shovel, and just instantly save super fast. And they can't react in time enough to Terror Shock you. They can't statue you in time sometimes unless they swing instantly, and that can be very difficult. To do as a hunter. You have to kind of, it's a mind game as Gravekeeper, but for the most part, it's very, very hard to get stuffed, and it's very easy to make the rescues. And he's actually, under some circumstances, a better rescuer than Mercenary. The reason why Mercenary is better and used more is because Mercenary can go for a second rescue. You know, if you're against something like a Bloody Queen or a Dream Witch, you hit that Mercenary once, put him at half health, he can go for a save again later in the match, and that can be, you know, an issue for, you know, for the hunter to deal with. But as a Gravekeeper, he's very strong overall. He's also good against Dream Witch, because if you get Patroller as a Dream Witch Patroller, so you just shovel, and they can't do anything. Patroller goes under with you as long as they don't hit you out of shovel until the Patroller runs out. They just wasted a Patroller for no reason. So that is why Gravekeeper is very strong. Is a counter to Patroller, counter to Ann as well. You get catted, you just shovel off the cat. Can't do anything as an Ann. GG's. Is chaseable, but very hard to chase. Almost unchaseable. Not completely unchaseable, but is almost unchaseable. A very strong rescuer overall, very hard to get his stuff against a Gravekeeper, and that is why Gravekeeper is a high A tier survivor. The next survivor, okay, the next and final tier. We're finally on the final tier. 5 survivors left. This is S tier. The first survivor in S tier is Seer. Now, Seer has always been S tier. Used to be the best survivor in the game a while back, but now he is the lowest survivor in S tier, but still very good, and one of the most commonly used characters in the game. Seer is S tier because he can support with an owl. He can see the hunter at the start of the game. There's so many things. The biggest thing with Seer is you can see the spawn of the hunter at the start of the game. Now, for those of you who don't know what a key spawn is every survivor will have a spawn on a map where they'll know where the hunter spawns based off of where they spawn. So, like, for example, let's say Arms Factory. If you spawn at Locker, which is the ruins area near the factory gate, you know that the hunter's guaranteed 100% to spawn factory window in that match. So that's what we call a key spawn. So now, if you know your key spawns, you know where the hunter spawns, so that's pretty good. But in rank, as a Seer, you can see if you don't get the key spawn, and you're not in 4-person VC because of Legendary Rank Mode, Tier 6 and above, you can, what I mean by that is, for those of you who don't know, once you hit Tier 6, Alicorn or higher, you can only play duos. You cannot play 4-person Survivor. But once you hit that, you can see where the hunter spawns at the start of the match. Even if you didn't get key spawn, your teammates wouldn't be able to tell you, obviously, because they're not in VC with you. But in tournament gameplay, at least, you can see what the hunter is. You would actually know what the hunter is before the match starts in tournament gameplay, but you would be able to see where the hunter spawns, where they're going. You can tell your teammates where the hunter's going. Additionally, you have that owl, which can block a hit and make it so you can kite longer. You can take an extra hit. You can make it basically so the first kiter on your team can take an extra hit before going down. They take 3 hits before they have to go down, which is very strong. Additionally, Seer is a pretty good kiter in that you can look behind you when you kite and farm a second owl. You can get yourself another owl and make it so you're invincible for another hit, which is pretty strong. Additionally, when the Seer sees the hunter, he can see the hunter through walls for the next 5 seconds, so it's very hard to actually mind game a Seer that way. Seer is very good at kiting in that manner, and that he can't really get mind gamed. So because of those things, Seer is a S tier survivor, the lowest in S tier, but an S tier survivor nonetheless. And the next survivor in S tier is Forward. Now, Forward could be a little bit higher in S tier, maybe, but I do have him currently as the 4th best survivor in the game. Forward is the best harassing character in the game. A good Forward is incredibly hard to deal with. Forward is what we call a game-changing character. Forward changes games from losses to ties, from ties to wins. And you actually see this happen a lot in tournament gameplay where Forward gets banned later rounds because hunters really don't want to have to deal with a chance for the team to turn losses into wins, essentially. Forward creates pressure. I know you guys you probably have heard this before. Forward creates pressure, and pressure creates changes in games where it goes from a hunter-sided game to a survivor-sided match, essentially. So, for example, against a Dream Witch, a lot of Dream Witches in China actually ban Forward round 1. You might be thinking, why would you do this? You can just put your spawn follower on top of the leech follower and block the Forward from stunning. That's not why. It's so the Dream Witch has to stay camping on the chair with both the leech follower and the spawn follower. If you bring the leech follower away or the spawn follower away, the Forward can simply stun on chair, create pressure, and get a free rescue off. And that's very detrimental against a Dream Witch, because Dream Witch wants to injure survivors as much as possible, and you can't do that as a Dream Witch if there's a Forward going for a rescue. Forward creates that pressure and makes it so the Dream Witch has to camp with both of those followers, and they cannot pressure Cypher machines. And that allows for free Cypher Rush from the survivors, which basically counteracts the entire Dream Witch strategy of slowing down that Cypher Rush and having that incredible Cypher control. Additionally, Forward is a very good kiter. It's very difficult to catch a Forward. He has increased pallet throwing speed, increased pallet stunning speed, increased pallet vaulting speed, which makes him, again, incredibly hard to chase. And because of all these things, Forward is S tier. He can also harass late game. If you're in a position where your last cipher is 50%, right? The Forward, the hunter goes to pick up the survivor, the Forward stuns, gets them to drop, and the hunter can get away. Once you go for a rescue as a Forward, the hunter hits you, goes into attack recovery, you make the rescue, and you do like a 360 stun the hunter, allows the survivor to make distance. And then while they're stunned again, you do another stun them again. And you can keep stunning them as much as you want until your football runs out, and the hunter's forced to then leave the survivor and go for the Forward. And you lose that survivor. You lose that survivor that you shared first, and that is game-changing. That turns games from ties to wins, or losses to ties, or even losses to wins. I mean, it's that simple. Forward is also a good kiter. Again, so he can clutch up dungeon late game if he has enough football. And because of that, Forward Not only does he create pressure, change games, he's one of the most banned hunters. He's a commonly banned survivor in China. He's banned sometimes in ranked gameplay here in NAEU. He's banned sometimes in China in ranked gameplay, and he's banned a lot in tournament gameplay. And because of this, Ford is one of the best characters in the game and is an S tier survivor. The next survivor in a S tier is the best rest hero in the game. That is the Mercenary. Mercenary actually recently got nerfed. He was actually, I think I had him as the second best or the best character in the game in the Season 15 tier list. I'm not actually quite sure, but recently Mercenary was nerfed where he lost an elbow pad. He originally had 5 elbow pads. Then he got nerfed a few seasons ago, went down to 4 elbow pads. He just got nerfed again going into this Season 16. Now has 3 elbow pads to work with. Yeah, that can be weakened sometimes. You have to be very, very conservative with elbow pads now. 4 was fine. 5 was great. 4 was still perfectly fine, perfectly doable. 3, you got to be really conservative. Additionally, Mercenary has a 10% increased chair time in compared to the 30% that it used to have. 30% was huge. Mercenary took so long to die, and it was so hard for hunters to... Mercenary was just unchaseable. If you chase the Merc first, you're dealing with 4 elbow pads plus a 30% on chair time survivor, which is very, very bad. Additionally, he takes an extra 15 seconds to die because of his ability. That's very hard. Now hunters can actually technically chase Mercenary. It's still not ideal, let's be honest. It's nowhere near ideal. But they can still do it if they need to. Even like a Sculptor used to sometimes chase Mercenaries. Now you can actually chase Mercenaries a lot easier. So because of that, Mercenary is an S tier survivor. He's the best rescuer in the game because, you know, you can literally, if you're going against a hunter that doesn't do chip, like a Bloody Queen, for example, you can go for save while half health. Bloody Queen hits you at first rescue, you go to half health, and you get the save off. If you need to save again late game against a Bloody Queen or Dream Witch or any other hunter that doesn't do chip, like a Bonbon or Sculptor, you can go in at half health and still make the rescue because you're a Mercenary. If you get Terror Shock trying to save, you still make the rescue. Obviously, you don't want to get Terror Shock. You will get double hit because of that. But you still make the rescue. If you would normally get stuffed against a Bonbon or Sculptor, you're a Mercenary. You'll still make the rescue. So Mercenary, it's almost impossible to get stuffed as a Mercenary. He has those elbow pads, which can make it, make yourself get to the chair quicker, so you can get that save before half or right before the survivor dies. He's pretty much unchaseable for the most part. He's slightly more chaseable now, but is still not ideal whatsoever. And yeah, Mercenary can also clutch up dungeon late game. He's just so strong overall. That is what makes Mercenary an S tier survivor and the best rescuer in the game. Moving on to the last 2 survivors in S tier, the next one is Priestess. Now, Priestess, as much as you guys hate Priestess, she is very good. You have to admit it. A lot of people call her Roach because she's there and then she's gone. And then, is that why they call them Roach? There's probably a specific reason they call them Roach, and I don't know what it is specifically. And this is why I'm dumb, and then why you guys probably shouldn't even be watching this video and listening to me, because I don't know what I'm talking about. No, but I know what I'm talking about this, just not about Roach, because I don't... Roach, why do they call it Roach? Anyways, I don't know. Someone let me know in the comments why they call it Roach. Don't make fun of me for it, or you can. I don't really care. But yeah. Priestess is the second best survivor in the game because of her incredible support and incredible kiting potential. Priestess can literally portal through pretty much anything. Not everything, but a lot of things. You're on the bridges on Moonlit River Park. It's like, oh no, I'm going to die. Just kidding. I'm going to portal to the other side of the map. Bye-bye. See you later. You also set up the World Portal. The World Portal, the Ultra Long Portal, is where, you can literally set it up across the map. Priestess does not leave a residual image where, other survivors would. Priestess, if the hunter goes to the Priestess, you go through the portal, you're gone. Hunter can't get to you. You're on the other side of the map in a second. You can connect Cypher machines. You can connect exit gates with the World Portal. You can make it very, very hard on the hunter. You're a very good kiter. You can loop areas, 2-story areas for long periods of time. Run up to the 2-story area, portal down. Hunter has to stand on the portal, get stunned going down, plus the time it takes them to stand on. You loop back up. You can literally just loop areas. That's not really the ideal kiting strategy, but you could technically do it, and it wastes a lot of time, and there's nothing the hunter can do. So that's pretty broke. And additionally, yeah, you can set up World Portal for your teammates. If a survivor gets hit with Tide Turner, they can simply run to the World Portal, go through it, get to the other side of the map, and the hunter has to find a new chase target. On top of that, Priestess makes it so everybody heals faster. Oh my god, no way, that's already even more broken. So you go through the World Portal, the Priestess brings the Doctor build, the healing build on most of the time. And they heal you super fast. So you go through the warp portal with the Priestess. They pick you up super fast. By the time the hunter gets across the map to you, you've already been healed to full health, and you have to re-chase someone from scratch at full health. And then by that point, the survivors have probably just won the game because of Cypher Rush. So Priestess also can set up portals. Think, for example, Ever Sleeping Town, Chinatown, stuff like that. You put portals through those what we call thick buildings. Thick buildings. Don't mind me. They're just thick buildings. I just Anyways, you put portals through them thick buildings. You know what I'm saying? Then it's just like, what are you gonna do as a hunter? You go through the portals after the survivors, but the survivors gone. They've already just made it a ridiculous amount of distance because they're a pretty long portal, so the stun is a long time, and the survivors have relocated to a new kiting area, and you will get kited forever and transition kited because of that. And because of all these things, because of the support, the kiting potential, only a 10% decrease in decoding and vaulting speed is not too bad for a Priestess, considering all the other pluses she has, plus the fast healing. This makes Priestess an S-tier survivor and the second best survivor in the game. She can also save while one-shot, technically. I mean, it's not... If the hunter doesn't see you, you can portal through the chair. The hunter goes through, gets stunned, you make the rescue easy. GG's. So because of all these things, Priestess is the second best survivor in the game and is S-tier. And finally, guys, last but not least, the final character in S tier is Mechanic. Now, Mechanic has been the best character in the game. I think I had her last season, best character in the game as well. But Mechanic is absolutely a broken character. She promotes Cypher Rush more than any character in the entire game. And I know a lot of you may say, oh, didn't she just get changed recently where her main body decoding isn't as good? Well, the biggest thing about Mechanic is really not her main body decoding. It's actually the bot. Having the bot is broken. You can literally get found early game as Mechanic. If you have your bot in play, you're still tied the match. The bot can do an entire cipher by itself easily. Increase decoding, I think it's 25% faster. Increase decoding, which is faster than any, pretty much any other character besides, I guess, like Mind's Eye. So that is really, really broken. And yeah, you essentially, as a Mechanic, you make it so your team only needs to do 4 cipher machines to win the game. Because the bot will pop a cipher by itself, and the rest of your team needs to do 4 ciphers instead of 5. I mean, that's broke. Think about it. It's a broken game mechanic. It's like, oh, okay, 4 ciphers to win the game. GG's. Now, of course, the hunter can counteract this if they find the bot early game. If you do a good job of hiding it, that won't be easy for the, it won't be easy for the hunter to actually find it. So, not only that, if the bot dies and the Mechanic's bot has, I don't know, like 2% left on it or something, you can actually use it to body block. When you spawn the bot, it spawns in behind you. So if you're looking behind you when you kite, you see the hunter is about to hit you. You can you can simply just spawn the bot behind you, absorbs the hit like like a Seer owl or something, and you just keep going. And it buys you so much distance because the hunter goes into attack recovery, you get to the next pallet, whatever. And it's actually just, it's just really good overall. Additionally, a lot of mechanics will just bring snooze, so you're going to get found first. You can sit on the rocket chair for a while, you get a lot of free decoding done with your bot, and there's just nothing the hunter can do with that overall. Additionally, the bot does a few other things as well. You can leave the bot on the exit gate. When the bot's about to run out of energy, just put it on the exit gate. When you guys pop the last cipher, the mechanic can literally open the exit gate with the bot while the rest of the team's kiting or going to the gate. By the time your teammates get to the gate, it's already open. Literally, normally a hunter would be like, okay, I'm going to teleport an exit gate with detention. Find a survivor there, down them, and then I just secure a tie because there's 3 people left. Or whatever. And then I can, go for another person, secure a tie or secure a win, whatever. But if you have the mechanic spot open the gate, you teleport on the bot, you kill the bot, waste time killing it with attack recovery, and everybody else just went to the other exit gate. You just lost the match because they're all over there. Additionally, the bot can feed tinnitus, which is even better. Because you can, not even better, but it's really good. You can leave the bot, if your bot's almost at energy, just leave the bot hidden middle map. Right? And what that does is it makes it so if the hunter downs someone, late game on an exit gate, they can't leave that person. Like, they down someone, they can't leave them go to the other exit gate try to push for a win. Because if they leave that person, the mechanic spot is feeding tinnitus. The hunter doesn't know if someone's hiding there or if it's the bot hiding there. And if the bot still has enough energy and it's hidden, then the bot can just save the person that the hunter left and that was put on chair. So the bot can do so much. And again, the biggest thing with mechanic is the bot. Again, mechanic, you guys can say mechanic's not a good kiter. No, she's not. You're right. She's a terrible kiter. Her vaulting speed is really bad. Her pallet throwing speed is really bad. She's just not very good with in that manner. But she is very good, with the best decoding character in the game. Promotes the most Cypher Rush out of any character. One of the most banned characters in both rank and and tournament gameplay. Is very strong against any sort of tie hunters, chip hunters, good camping hunters, good against Sculptor, good against Bonbon. I mean, literally anything. Dream Witch doesn't ban her quite as much. The reason why is Dream Witch is a very fast hunter. She can usually find the bot and the main body mechanic early game. Although some hunters, I know Ching likes to ban mechanic as Dream Witch. Like, that's just how broken mechanic is. Mechanic's not even that strong in Dream Witch compared to maybe some other characters, but Ching bans her anyway because of how broken she is overall, and it makes sense. I mean, Mechanic's just a broken character. She promotes Cypher Rush beyond anything, and she's just, she's just very broke. And Mechanic that is why she is S tier and the best character currently in the Identity V game. That's going to wrap it up for the video, guys. I hope this video was helpful. Keep in mind, guys, this is, I put this together with a bunch of my Fuzion teammates and a bunch of other top players who are my friends that we talked about this and put this together. So if you guys have conflicting opinions, if you don't necessarily agree with some of the stuff in the tier list, feel free to let me, respectfully know in the comments below. You don't have to be like, I know some people are like, this is all wrong, this is so inaccurate, you suck. It's like, well, no, I don't. I'm a top player, and a bunch of other top players put this together with me, so I'd say it's pretty accurate. But yeah, anyways, guys, this video is just to be helpful. It's just to help you guys out, give you guys some information, and I hope it is helpful. It's not to be, again, conflicting with anyone's opinions or whatever. These videos always end up having some sort of, it's always difference in opinion in most instances. But again, this is put together by, again, top players, and I hope this video was helpful for you guys. I hope you guys learned something from this. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. It really means a lot. We're almost to 800 subscribers, which is huge. Super excited. Can't wait to hit that 1,000 mark. One day we'll get a video, a special thing for that. We'll figure that out later. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.